Apple just updated their 13 and 15-inch models. Now, the 15-inch model has a lot of controversy surrounding it, especially with that Core i9 and the supposed thermal throttling issues going on. I'm not going to get into that right now. What I want to talk about is this one. This is the 13-inch MacBook Pro that's just got a speed bump up to a quad-core CPU. It's got the Retina display with a True Tone display, and supposedly has a quieter and hopefully more reliable keyboard. We'll find out. Hey everybody, this is Andrew, and this is my unboxing and review of the 2018 MacBook Pro 13-inch. Coming up. You know the drill by now. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification icon alerting you every time I post a new video. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter to get all the latest updates. The 2018 MacBook Pro 13-inch with the 8th generation quad-core processor starts at $1799 US. That's a lot to pay. Now, they didn't touch the entry-level 13-inch model, which still runs a 7th generation Intel processor. And I reviewed that model late last year. I'll put the link below so you can check it out. But we're not here to talk about that model. We're here to talk about the all-new, just released 2018 models with the quad-core Intel 8th generation CPUs. And what you're looking at is a very significant improvement in terms of performance over last year's model. And we'll talk about performance in just a little bit, but let's find out what you get in the box. Let's open it up. Now, packaging is the same as last year's model. It's still high-end, still very premium, as Apple puts a very big emphasis on the unboxing experience, and it shows. Holding the unit for the first time, it feels really good. It looks exactly the same as last year's model, so all the changes you're going to see obviously will be under the hood. You get your 61-watt charger. Of course, they don't give you the extension cord anymore, which is a shame. And of course, you get your Apple stickers and your warranty and documentation as well. The all-metal unibody design, of course, is top-notch, as we've come to expect from Apple. It really sets the standard. Build quality is off the charts, and it's really excellent. And of course, I went once again with the space gray model. There is the traditional silver model, but I prefer the space gray. Now, Apple claims they've improved the keyboard by putting a silicone membrane to keep dust out. That was a big issue that's plagued previous models. Only time will tell if it will hold up. And it's supposed to be a quieter keyboard, although I didn't really see a noticeable difference. It's just a little bit quieter, that's all. And it uses a T2 chip. This is an upgraded silicone that Apple has developed that will give you supposedly more security and controls other functions on the device, such as the Touch Bar, Touch ID, and the like. Now, when it comes to the ports, it's rather limited once again. You get 4 USB Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports, and they showed it off with Blackmagic's new eGPU. Now, Apple worked with Blackmagic to optimize it for the new 2018 MacBook Pros, especially the 13-inch models, which can use a boost from an external GPU, that's for sure. And of course, you can use it with the 2016 and 2017 models. It's also supposed to run quieter than other external GPUs. Unfortunately, you cannot swap out the GPU that's in it already. Now, the display is pretty much the same display from last year's model. You're looking at a 13.3-inch IPS non-touch display, of course, with a resolution of 2560 by 1600. That's 227 pixels per inch, and it has a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. But there is something new with this display. It now supports a True Tone display. That means it will automatically adjust the white balance to the environment that you currently are in. That's okay, but I actually turned that off because I need to do video editing and I need to have maximum control over my display. And it has the same size bezels as last year's model, and I wish it was a little bit thinner this time around. We're already in 2018 and we're already seeing other manufacturers slimming down those bezels. I want to see Apple follow suit. But nonetheless, this is a very sharp, bright display at 458 nits. It's good for both indoor and outdoor use. And it's brighter than most of its competition in this category, certainly above the category average of 301 nits, falling slightly behind the ThinkPad X1 Carbon that I just reviewed, which comes in at 475 nits, and also one of my favorite ultra portables. And it's pretty much on par with the MacBook X Pro, also one of my favorites. The blacks are very deep, the colors are very vibrant and very accurate, and it also covers the color gamut very well. With an sRGB of 123%, that's certainly above the category average of 112%, but certainly not as good as the X1 Carbon's 2K HDR Dolby Vision display, which had a whopping 199% sRGB. Aside from thinner bezels, I think this is an excellent display. I also would like to see a touchscreen, something I don't think Apple will ever do. And probably the biggest reason you get this is for the increased performance you get with that 8th generation Intel processor. It's running the Core i5-8259U, aka Coffee Lake. It can come with 8 or 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM, and you can get it with up to 2 terabytes of SSD storage. Now there's no dedicated graphics option that you'd have to get with the 15-inch model, but here you get Intel's Iris Plus Graphics 655. And it did slightly better than last year's model on the OpenCL score. And thanks to the Coffee Lake processor, you're seeing a big boost in performance. Check out the multi-core score and single-core score on the Geekbench 4 test. And if you go with the Core i7, it did even better, 18,058 on the multi-core score, certainly above the category average of 10,990, blowing away its competition in this category. Now keep in mind, this is not a dedicated gaming machine. I'd go with a Windows option any day of the week, but however, this can do some gaming. Check out the Dirt 3 Complete Edition test. It certainly can do some gaming. Certainly you're not going to be doing AAA titles unless you opt for that eGPU we were talking about. That will give you gaming options. And check out the Cinebench R15 results, certainly better than last year's model, that's for sure. And it has a very fast SSD, very good reads and writes here on this Blackmagic disk speed test. The 13-inch MacBook Pro's fan will kick in under heavy load, but it wasn't very loud and the thermals were actually pretty good on this device. It never got more than 93.5 degrees Fahrenheit or 31.2 degrees Celsius. That's between the G and H keys, but really below the 95 degree Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius threshold. Check out these numbers. That's pretty good. Now with that inclusion of the new T2 chip that I mentioned earlier, you now have the ability to use the Hey Siri functionality. You no longer have to press the Siri button to summon it. In fact, you can do it with just that verbal command, as you would with your iPhone. Now setup was pretty easy, but I don't really use Siri all that much, but I can see the usefulness of it occasionally when you want to find out some information and you just want to use some verbal commands, just like you can with the iPhone, so I guess it's okay. So this is the 720p FaceTime camera. I was hoping we'd get a 1080p camera this time around. That's not the case, but nonetheless, it's fine for doing your FaceTime video and the like. But let me know in that comment section below what you think about this. The touch bar above the keyboard also gets the True Tone treatment to match the main display. This mini touchscreen with a resolution of 2170 by 60 does come in handy at times, but for the most part, I only use it to change the volume or the screen brightness, things I can do with a physical button if they would offer one. Now, 2 years after its initial launch, this is still not a must-have feature, and I would prefer physical buttons in the end. I think it's time Apple gets rid of this touch bar and just gives us back those physical buttons that we really want. I may not be a big fan of the touch bar, but I'm a huge fan of the Touch ID. Setup was easy and it worked really fast, registering my finger every time I used it. Really one of the best in the business. Excellent job in this implementation on this new MacBook Pro. Great for use with Apple Pay and certainly with security on this device. Now when it comes to audio, once again, they have some awesome sounding speakers. They get really loud, there's bass, it's full, it's rich. I really love these speakers. I like them in the other models and I love it here once again. Now let's hear them in action. You got design shades just to hide your face, and you wear them around like you're cooler than me, and you never say hey or remember my name, and it's probably because you think you're cooler than me, cooler than me. The most controversial aspect of Apple's modern MacBook Pros have been its keyboards, and not just because they offer very shallow key travel of only 0.55. Some MacBook owners have even filed a class action lawsuit over the keyboard failures, while others have simply complained of the stock keys, as we've mentioned earlier. Now, they've hopefully rectified this with this new silicone membrane that they put under the keys to prevent dust from getting in. Thus, hopefully the reliability will be better. And I guess it's marginally quieter than previous models, but I really didn't notice a big difference, to be honest. I would say it's okay. It's not the greatest keyboard I've ever used. I wouldn't say it's the worst. I just wish it did have a little bit more key travel. Overall, I would say it's okay though. Now when it comes to the touchpad, well, it's still ridiculously oversized. I can still fit my iPhone X pretty much in it. That's pretty big. This is still one of the best touchpads out there. It's extremely responsive, it's buttery smooth as far as scrolling is concerned, and all your gestures work as advertised. Now when it comes to battery life, I would say it's above average, and it did slightly better than last year's model, but marginally, only about 5 minutes better. On the continuous web surfing test over Wi-Fi at 150 nits, we're looking at 8 hours and 45 minutes. That's just 5 minutes more than last year's model. But it didn't do quite as well as the category leader, the Dell XPS 13 9370, the Core i5 model, which did 12 hours and 37 minutes. And it fell short when compared to the Huawei MateBook X Pro or the ThinkPad X1 Carbon that I recently reviewed. And you get about 80% in about an hour's worth of charging, and a full charge you're looking at 2 hours and 5 minutes. But the MacBook Pro is a very expensive proposition, especially when you compare it to its competition. For instance, the Huawei MateBook X Pro, the Core i5 model, comes in at only $1199. That's certainly a better value, especially since you're getting a higher resolution display and a touch display to boot. And even the Dell XPS 13 9370, the Core i5 model, that also comes in at $1199. Once again, a better value. But on that one, you're looking at a 1080p display. Apple has finally introduced the much-needed Intel 8th generation processors into their MacBook Pro lines. The 13-inch models now get quad-core processors, and the performance gains are significant. The 13.3-inch Retina display now sports a True Tone display. I really like that. T2 chip gives you increased security and takes the load off the main processor, and also gives you Hey Siri functionality. But of course, this is not a perfect laptop by no means, and there are some significant deal breakers for some. That may be the lack of ports, specifically a full-size USB port, or even the inclusion of an SD card slot. Many people still need that, especially Pro users. The Touch Bar is not a must-have feature at this point, and this is a very expensive proposition at $1799, especially when you compare it to some of its competition. But if you're a Mac OS person, the new 13-inch MacBook Pro is a smarter and faster powerhouse. I'm going to give it an 89%, making it worth your money. So what do you think about the 2018 MacBook Pro 13-inch model? If you're a Mac OS person and you need a more portable device than the 15-inch model, go with this. This has a significant performance increase thanks to the quad-core CPU that it now sports. It's got above average battery life, but if you need to boost performance, you could always opt to get an external GPU, such as the Blackmagic one that they showed off with the debut of this model. It may not be a great value at $699, but it gives you certain options. So you can come home, come to your office, plug in, and you have that graphics horsepower that this doesn't have. But then again, when you want to take it on the go, it's thin and light and really portable. Now, at $1799, this is certainly a very expensive device, especially when you compare it to some of its competition. Check out the Huawei MateBook X Pro. The $1199 version, which is a Core i5, is significantly less than this. Same goes for the Dell XPS 13 9370 Core i5. Again, $1199. So you can get better values than this out there if you're not in the Mac OS system. But if you're in the Mac OS system, you're a Mac OS person, this may be your ticket. I'm curious to know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section below. What do you think of this 2018 MacBook Pro 13-inch? Let me know. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and of course my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.